I could not live being a secret. I've never been so weighed down by something in my entire life. And
Isn't it?
100%, yeah. And you're carrying this massive shame that isn't yours to carry.
Yeah, and being acknowledged is one way that shame, I think, one of the only ways that shame can really be lifted.
We
So
were
this has
on,
been a year meeting your uncle and his wife and their
yep,
kids.
yep. And
Okay.
we're very close. He basically took me in as his. So about 2 years, maybe like year and a half into this, I was on vacation at my uncle's house with my husband and my kids. And my cousin Kara had done an ancestry test for the sole purpose of outing my father.
Oh, so one of your uncle's kids did a test.
Yeah, yeah. She and I became really close, and she took a test just to go to my father and be like, "What the heck's going on? You need to fix this."
Do you think it's a generational thing? I mean, I feel like maybe the younger people are like, it's okay, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. Let's help the people now. Like, so what, that happened however many, I won't date how old you are, but it happened a while ago. Let's deal with the now and not the then.
Yeah, and it more of a I don't give a crap about what people think, you know what I mean? So she took a test and had gotten her results actually the week I was down on vacation down there. And so she's messaging my father, like, what is this? You need to fix this. She can't be a secret. I was messaging him, acting like I didn't know her. We were scheming like teenagers. But it worked. He finally, and I joke with him, I say he finally manned up. He told his wife. And of course, something like that's going to destroy you at your core, finding something out like that. But she told him, she's like, and I love her so much. She told my father, I can't be with you until you go fix this.
So I just have to say that her response is the most heartfelt, emotional response that I've heard of. She just helps me love humanity in a way that sometimes when it's hard, I just remember what she did.
Yeah, she's grace embodied. She truly is. So she encouraged him, and the same night he told her, he was up there at 10:27 p.m. at my uncle's house. And I was texting, and I really shouldn't have been texting him while he was driving, but I was texting him and he was driving, and I'm like, what do I do when I meet you? Like, how am I supposed to react to this? Like, and he was like, I don't know what you're supposed to do, but I'm gonna give you a big bear. And so I remember the first time I got to hug my dad, and almost in a way, it's like looking in the mirror and finally being able to see yourself for the first time. Because
Mhm.
same face. I look just like my dad. I look like my dad more than any of my siblings.
All those pieces sort of click together in that
Yeah,
moment.
all the broken pieces and all the pieces of the puzzle just fit
Mhm.
together. 100%, yeah. So that's kind of how it all started.
One big bear hug.
Yeah, one big bear hug, and my cousin watched both of my kids the rest of the night for me. We went for a walk, my father and I. We ended up in a church parking lot, and we talked about every single thing under the sky, all the good and the bad things that we had both been through, and how I was actually, how I actually came to be. My mom never gave me the real story, and how he truly felt over the year and a half or 2 years that he kept me a secret. That was one of the most amazing conversations I've ever had.
It's amazing he could be so vulnerable and honest with you because that's hard to do with somebody. I know we call, I mean, definitely intimate stranger, right? Because you're looking at the mirror of you, but at the same time, that's a lot to share.
It is, it is. And he has been vulnerable since the moment I met him. He has given me every single piece of him that he can to try to fix things between us. Answered all my questions, all my angry phone calls. When I get angry because I get in my feelings. We had a couple of like vacations or like meetings where He would come up here, we would go down to Houston to see him. But the healing process is interesting for sure. Yeah.
So how long has it been, Athena, since your bear hug?
Since my bear hug, it's been over 2 years now.
2 years is not that long, right?
No, but it feels almost as long as I my whole life without him. It does. It truly does.
But it's not smooth. Even with a
It's
dad who's willing to be emotional, vulnerable, and there.
and you both have to be willing to hear the hard things and let the hard things be said in order to move on and heal. I mean, and there's a lot of things I've said to my dad that he deserved, but maybe I shouldn't have said so harshly. But through all of it, he's been open and forgiving, and I've done my best to be the same way for him.
Mhm.
And my stepmother, we call her the glue.
She's amazing. Before you talk about your stepmother, who I adore, I think there's something like that people forget, even though we're adults meeting our parents, our dads for the first time, we're still the child in the relationship. And so we have to go through those processes of emotional growth that we missed out on as a child. And the parent needs to step up and be the parent.
Yeah, I agree. For me, I was very independent, so it was really hard kind of figuring out where to fit him in my life and how to let him be my father.
Well, in a way, I mean, I didn't really have a dad growing up either. My birth certificate father was a heroin addict and was not really in my life. So we were kind of like fatherless daughters in a way. We haven't had that male figure or that male person we're looking up to interacting in our lives. And so I can't imagine trying to build that as an adult.
Yeah, it's still a work in progress. I will not claim that I'm totally healed. It's going to be a long time coming for sure, and it's difficult learning how to even just be able to say I have a dad and how to let that happen.
Yeah, those the words matter. I know a lot of times when siblings get together later, even in good relationships where things are going well, that like our father
Mhm.
versus my father kind of language.
That's another thing I've been incredibly lucky with is my siblings have all been, well, this is how it is. You're our sister. And I remember the first time I met one of my brothers, he was talking because my twin sisters are adopted. I also have twin sisters, and they're the youngest. He was talking about how he remembered when they were adopted. And he said, when we took in my sisters, but then he corrected himself. And he said, when we took in our sisters. And that was one of the most pivotal moments in my relationship with that brother because that's the first time I met him and I knew he already accepted me.
Words matter.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have three brothers and the twin sisters?
Yes. Yeah.
So you started talking about your glue. You want to go back to your I guess stepmom?
Yeah. I kind of refer to her as mom. We have a tighter relationship than my biological mom and I ever had.
Yeah.
I will say that she is the biggest reason that I have my family. She holds us accountable when things get hard. She encourages us to work through the really hard things, to have the difficult conversations, to say the things that hurt. She encourages my dad to come up and visit. She encourages a relationship with all five of my brothers and sisters. She is just the most amazing person ever. I sorry, I'm trying really hard not to cry.
Well, I will give you a pause and just so people who are listening, they might not understand that often when we reach out to fathers, we find them at a certain point in their lives and they often have a family and their spouses, their significant others can sometimes be a big barrier to getting to know our fathers. And especially when we're the product of an affair with that person, when that person was married, when our dad was married to that person. But it still happens. I hear stories all the time for wives who they weren't even married when the child was born, and they want to reject the child just based on, this is my family, this makes everything uncomfortable, what message does this send to the world, how do I share my husband with this new person, how do my kids share with this new person, I don't want to share, so many things, so many reasons that go through their space. You've been married a long time, I've been married a long time. If a marriage isn't in a good spot and something like this comes up, you're throwing a wrench into a mess. So, a lot of credit to your mom.
Yeah, she's amazing. She did not gatekeep once. My brothers and sisters, when they first found out, were, of course, destroyed. Their whole world came crashing down. She gave them permission to accept me. They want to protect their mom, and she encouraged and not pushed them, but encouraged and gave them permission that it was okay to get
Mm-hmm.
to know my sister.
It's understandable to want to protect your mom,
Oh yeah,
um,
yeah,
and to have her be encouraging of the relationship. And also, I mean, it's a process for them. Dad cheated on mom.
yeah.
So that's a conversation there too, right?
Yeah, my oldest brother, he was away at college when my father told them, and he's thinking somebody died because they're like, you need to come home right now. He's like, who died? What the heck? He comes in the living room and everybody's crying and he's like, what the heck is going on here? They've been incredibly accepting.
The thing is, we're all human. Things happen. But as we've said a couple times already, we should not bear the negative consequences of the actions of our parents. It's not your fault for what your dad did. It's not my fault for what my mom did. It just is. And we have to focus on the now.
Yeah, the kids should never be at fault. And like I said, my stepmom, I'm incredibly lucky that she never ever once blamed me, or I don't even think she had those thoughts in her head. I don't think
Doesn't
she's capable of it.
it blow your mind? Like, how can you blame the child?
I know. I've seen some crazy stories from the DNA surprise world, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
They weren't even around.
Yeah.
People will hear me say it almost every time, probably. We are innocent bystanders in our conception, period. Full stop.